Greetings, everyone, and welcome. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very, very pleased to be able to welcome you this year to our virtual Black History program. We welcome that you can leave any questions in our chat as we are going through our program. This year's program is our annual Black History Month celebration event, Preserving the Black Family, Knowing the Past to Shape the Future. As we go through our program this morning, we will have Lift Every Voice by Hamm. We will have our Purpose and Overview by Sister Tamika Domino. And we will also have our guest poet, Khalilah Campfield.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicings rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling seas. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Ooh. Do-do. Ooh. Do-do. Do-do-do. Do.
Thank you, Kia. Again, welcome and thank you for joining us for our annual Black History celebration, Preserving the Black Family, Knowing the Past to Shape the Future. In celebration and recognition of Black History Month and in the true spirit of one of our organization's founding principles, the Sisters of the New Jersey Zuri Grad Chapter give you Preserving the Black Family, knowing the past to shape the future. Swing by Swing was founded at Winston-Salem State University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, at the conclusion of the Civil Rights Movement and the burgeoning of the Black Power movement. 12 African-American women, with the help of their brother organization, Groove by Groove, founded Swing by Swing on April 4th, 1969, which was the one-year anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. At a time of social unrest, these 12 young women created an organization that would honor the trailblazers of the civil rights movement and their legacy. These women dared to be different by creating a fellowship of women committed to meaningful community service, promoting and achieving academic excellence, and strengthening community involvement and engagement through culturally conscious events and activities. The founders of Swing by Swing ignited a flame that influenced thousands of women to follow in their footsteps. Their pioneering spirit continues to burn in the hearts of many sisters, transcending the boundaries of geography, social class, complexion, and religious affiliation.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, so real quick, just want to let you know I like a little interaction. So if you are in the chat and you want to show me some love, show me some hearts, do something. If you're on Zoom, make sure you give me some thumbs up. But I just want to do this one real quick. So when I think Sankofa, I think going back to the past to understand the future. And I think of my grandmother and her sisters and family gatherings back in the day. And it inspired this poem right here. So hopefully you like it. It's called Saddle Shoes. When I wear my saddle shoes, it's more than just because they're cute. It's because I want to spend the day having conversations with older Black women about their youth and how some were forced to wear these low-heeled, casual black and white shoes, and they hated it because for some teenage girls, they had big old feet, and these shoes made them look extra long. Some tell me stories about how saddle shoes would make them and their siblings feel like they had it going on, especially if they wore them with folded over white bobby socks. Back in the day, saddle shoes cost $2 to $3. With that price, every parent thought they rocked. And so they easily became part of the school dress code, while others wore them with poodle skirts, ribbons, and big old hair bows. Where'd you get them from? And I'd answer, Payless. And I don't wear them because they're comfortable or cute, but because I know they'll spark a conversation with older Black women about their youth. Saddle shoes make many smile from memories of their mothers and conversations with their brothers. A 1950s or 60s Southern summer, rice with chicken or pork chops that's smothered, Woolworth counter sit-ins, don't buy where you can't work, the inspiration for the Montgomery, Alabama bus boycotts to begin. Saddle shoes tell stories of separate but equal segregation and integration. Saddle shoes tell stories about Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream for the Black nation. Saddle shoes tell stories of the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church, where 4 little girls were killed and the Black community experienced the uproar of hurt. Saddle shoes tell stories of Selma and that of a young Emmett Till. Saddle shoes tell the stories of the height of the Black Power movement when swing was started. Saddle shoes tell stories, if you listen, they will speak on Dorothy Dandridge and Harry Belafonte, Eartha Kitt and Sidney Poitier, Red Fox, Ruby Dee, Cicely Tyson and Esther Rolle, Marla Gibbs, Flip Wilson, Sammy Davis Jr. and James Earl Jones. Saddle shoes will tell the story of how Black people stood out in places where they didn't belong. Saddle shoes will take you way back and tell stories of where we originally came from. That's why I wear my saddle shoes. It's more than just because they're cute. It's because I want to spend the day having conversations with older Black women that I too one day will be able to share with the youth. Sankofa, vintage, classic. That's why I love my saddle shoes. And that's that piece. Show me some love.
Oh, wow, sister, that was great.
Beautiful.
Wow, that was so inspiring. Thank you, sister, for sharing your poem with us. And looking in the chat, everyone is giving you such good feedback and kudos. I'm just going to share a little bit with you before we move on. People are saying awesome, powerful, all the love. Yes, dope, love it, beautiful. That poem was awesome.
Thank
you so much for sharing with us. Oh, they're still coming in. It's amazing.
Baby. That's my grand fam. Go ahead, girl.
Go ahead, grand fam. It's absolutely beautiful. Someone just wrote nice. It brought me back wearing them when I was small.
See?
I remember those shoes lovely. Wow. Very inspirational. The next part of our program, we are going to discuss our Herstory panel. And I'm going to introduce myself first because I did not during the welcome. So my name is Leah Sample, and I will be your moderator for the rest of this program. And I belong to the New Jersey Zuri Oberon Abike IA graduate chapter. Next, we will have Sister Founder Marilyn Reid-Hill introduce herself.
Hola.
Marilyn Reid-Hill, sorry.
Hola and good morning. I am Marilyn Reid-Hill from the Groove chapter. I am one of the 12 founders of Swing by Swing, and it is my pleasure to be here today.
Good morning. I am founder Patricia Story-Edwards of the Groove chapter in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I'm happy to be here. I'm coming to you from Connecticut.
Good morning. My name is Eboni. I am currently a member of the Central Carolina graduate chapter here in Durham, North Carolina, and went over at the Livingstone College spring of 2012.
Hello, my name is Roysha Elm. I went over at Nahanda Bison chapter at Howard University, and it is a pleasure to be here. And thank you so much for the invite, sisters.
So I want to first say that if anyone has any questions that they have, you can please put it in the chat as we have our discussion, and we will talk about them throughout our program. So, question for our panelists. This year, our theme is preserving the Black family, know the past to shape the future. In keeping this in mind, please share what pearls of wisdom were passed down to you, which shaped the person you have become. What pearls of wisdom would you pass on to the next generation? So the first one, what pearls of wisdom were passed down to you, which shaped the person you have become?
Well, I'll start. I can say that I had a lot of prepping for life just by my birth. I am one of 12 children. I have 6 brothers and 5 sisters by the same parents, and 11 of us lived in the same house. So you can imagine what that must have been like. Fortunately, my parents loved each other, and they gave us a wonderful life. I was giving a close-up seat of love, respect, how to treat others, and education was very important to them. 8 of the 12 of us have college degrees, and it was important for us to be of service to others. My father was a pastor and my mother was a community activist. So serving others was just part of who you were. And no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If someone asked you to do something.
Okay. My story is almost like Marilyn's, but my mother was born in Texas. My father came from Georgia. He was in the Army and they met. So what happened was that neither one of them had been to college to get an education. So they inspired in us to go to college. But there was 3 women that gave me some pearls for life. First was my grandmother. She grounded me in the church and in religion. I spent many weekends with her at her home, walking downtown, and everyone respected her, even when they went by the taverns. But she took me to church. And I think that's the reason why now I became a minister. But another thing about my grandmother, she made the best biscuits I ever tasted. The second person was my mom. She told me that sometimes you have to make compromises when you don't want to. But then she always said that always tell the truth because it would always come on top rather than a lie. And the last one was my adopted mom. Her husband was the first teacher, Black teacher at the Coast Guard Academy in New London, Connecticut. And she was an educator. She demonstrated to me that I could do anything that I wanted to do. It called for determination and the willpower. All 3 of those women pushed me to go to North Carolina, to Winston-Salem State University, to get out of my comfort zone and made me the person that I am today. And I appreciate every one of them.
Thank you, Sister Founder Patricia. Sister Founder Marilyn, did you have anything else you wanted to add from your conversation?
Well, I don't know where I was cut off, but
that's okay. We can hear it again.
You can hear it again. Well, I was just simply saying that, I was from a large family and how important that was for teamwork and service to others, and how important education was to my parents, that they insisted that we go to college, and the first 8 did go and get a degree. And I am very appreciative of that, and how the community was one where we served each other. Service was about looking out for each other. Those who didn't have, those who did have, you came together. So that's basically what I was saying about what was given to me. The fact that I was born in a family of 12 children, you had to learn service, cooperation, teamwork, you know, you had to get in there and do what you had to do and be productive. So I am grateful for the life that was given to me by my parents. Thank you.
Thank you. Sister Roysha?
My beads of wisdom, of course, came from my mother. It's something she's always said to me and my sister, is that we're a minority because we're a woman, we're a minority because we're a Black woman, and we're a minority because of the way we were raised in our character. So character has been stressed to us all of our lives, and just being a strong, independent woman, not just independent meaning you can do your own things, but an independent thinker as well. That if you need to go against the grain to get something done and make your own path, then you have to step up, be strong, be courageous, and follow your dreams and your aspirations.
Thank you. Sister Eboni?
Hola. To piggyback off of what my sister said, I agree 100%, and she really took the words right out my mouth. But to add with that, she always, in addition, said, treat others the way you want to be treated. So knowing that you're different, knowing that you're going to face certain obstacles that others may not face, that you're always going to have to sometimes put that extra effort in. And even when people along your journey may not treat you the way that they should or be as kind as they should, never take that away again from your character. Because what you do is always going to stand out versus how someone else has always treated you. And I think that is another basis, with that being a part of our upbringing, is another reason why me and my sister chose swing, because it's just something that's been instilled in us from a very, very young, early age. So to be different, to go against the grain and still be successful, to still get an education, and to still know what it means to be an African-American woman and share the knowledge with other people has definitely come a long way for us. And we're just proud to be a part of this organization and to be able to give back.
Thank you. Sister Founder Marilyn, what pearls of wisdom would you pass on to the next generation?
I would pass on self-love, how important it is for you to take care of yourself. We often talk about loving others, but it's more importantly for you to love. The more that you love yourself, the more that you have to give. And very little was said to me about self-love. We have the outer man taken care of as far as our hair, our nails, our clothes. But what about the total package of our mental, physical, and emotional health? And I think that's so important, especially our mental health. And we're hearing a lot about that during the COVID. I think our physical health is important. If someone had talked to me when I was a teenager about how important it is not to eat a whole bag of potato chips, I probably would have taken that into consideration. Drink more water. There are a lot of simple things that we can do. If we're eating a whole bag now, cut it down to a half a bag. You don't have to just detox overnight, but there's so many things that we can do for ourselves. I look at how we are at risk because of diabetes and heart failure, and it's a lot of things in our community that could have been prevented and can be prevented by the way, because of what we eat. So I think that's important. Also, have your own health journal. Know your BMI, know what you weigh, know what your blood pressure is. Don't wait to go to your doctor. keep your own records. I would also pass on financial literacy. It's important to be able to know how to save, where to invest, and that type of thing. I was not privy to that until I got older. And meditation would be the last if I would give to those. That's so important, to meditate and to take a deep look inside yourself and center yourself so you can be more productive, not only to yourself, but to others. Because the more whole you are, the more you can give to others.
Thank you, Sister Founder Marilyn. Sister Founder Patricia, what pearls of wisdom would you pass on to the next generation?
Okay, Sister Founder Marilyn almost said everything that we all want to say, but there's two things I need to say. Coming through my life, where I am today, if I needed some pearls from someone, it would be about communication and love. And I sat down last night to try to figure out this question, how to answer it. And I hope you get the gist of what I'm going to say. I wrote it down as a good marriage has to have communication and show love. It takes time for a pearl to be harvested from an oyster. If you want the pearl to be all that it can be, it has to be nurtured inside the oyster. We have to be nurtured so we can communicate with one another. There is also a need for love. Love in what you do, love in what you stand for, and love for other people. If someone had given those pearls a long time ago, it would have been easier for me during my whole life. I learned those probably when I was in my 60s. And now I'm in my 70s. So now that's what I try to give out now, to try to communicate to others and show love all the time. Because we don't know when we'll be leaving from here. And what they will remember is if you communicated with them and if you showed them love.
Thank you, Sister Founder Patricia. Sister Roysha, what pearls of wisdom would you pass on to the next generation?
I just like to say Sister Founders did an amazing job. You almost touched upon a lot of things. But one thing that I would speak on is about generational trauma. It has a little bit to do with mental health, but I think talking, counseling, those things, because we come into this world and some people might say you come with a clean slate, but you come with the traumas of your mother, your father, and those things are put on you when you're raised into an adult. And I know that our Black community has a stigma on counseling and working through these traumas. And if we want to build a stronger community, a stronger Black community with the members of our community, we have to address the things that are bothering us and our mothers and our fathers. Those things also have to be addressed, because then those traumas get put on to the next generation. And I think the stigma just needs to be addressed. And I think people have to step up, be courageous, and just talk about the things that are bothering you. Because, going back to what Sister Founder said, your physical health can also be affected by your mental stability. So just mental health, again, we're in a time where it's so important, and so many people in our Black community is being affected by not stepping up and getting treated for the things that back in the day would be taboo and be a stigma. But we just have to show support that this is an important topic to get through. And as a community, that we all can be there for each other. You're not, crazy or dumb for going to counseling. if that is what you need to, mind, body, and spirit to be cleansed of whatever trauma and things in your life that are bothering you.
Thank you, Sister Roysha. Sister Eboni.
Yes. Again, to piggyback, because I know I'm kind of at the end of the panelists, but all these sister founders have really touched on a lot. And again, to kind of piggyback, if I could give a gem to this generation, it would be, don't be afraid to go against the grain. Do not be afraid to set a path for yourself, even if it's not traditional. And with that, it comes from knowing yourself. I believe that at a young age, my mother treated me and my sister as if we were people, even though we knew that there was order, even though we knew that there was a hierarchy, even though we knew that this is my mom, there are rules in place, there are boundaries in place, but she let me and my sister both grow into our own person. And with that, it was never a set standard or a traditional way to do something. It was, if this is what you want to do you have a plan to get there? You have my support, execute, and if you don't come out successful, there was a lesson to be learned, and it was something that you needed to go through. And I would just encourage more of my generation to do that, because I believe with times changing and as world of technology, and we're getting into a different life and a different lifestyle, there will not always be a traditional way to do something. College is not always going to be for someone. The traditional, having a family, having kids, I feel as though everything starts from within. And the better you know yourself, the better you know where you come from. Again, knowing the traumas that you were born into, knowing how that has affected you, and knowing how to move forward and still preserve and still progress, and being able to share that with others, especially others in the Black community, you give someone hope that their path is their own. And even though it may not be traditional, they still have a way to reach their own level of success. So again, moving forward, knowing your body, knowing you as a person, how you strive, again, what your traumas are, things that you go through on a daily with yourself, coming to that acknowledgement, coming to those realizations, and making yourself better. When you know yourself, when you know the environment that you are in, you better adapt to the world. And it's not really you adapting to the world, it's the world adapting to you, because this is your life. This is your life. You control it. You control every aspect of it. And when you know that and you feel it, you believe it, everyone around you strives just as much as you do.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, Eboni. Sister Founder Marilyn, there is a question in the chat. I don't want it to get lost, so I'm going to ask you now. And this question is from Linda, and it says, for Sister Founder, did any of your other siblings join a fraternity or sorority? That's the first part. And the second part is, did joining Swing by Swing make you even stronger?
Yes, I have a brother who joined a fraternity, and joining Swing by Swing has absolutely made me stronger. And I get even stronger as I'm aging when I see the new blood that's coming into it. It's just so amazing to see the attraction to swing still growing after 50 years. And when I see these dynamite sisters like the sisters on our panel today, I'm so proud of them, who are lawyers, who are still giving back to the community. They find time to serve. I think it's awesome. And I was going to piggyback off of Eboni about, traumas in life, and how when you're given a lemon, make lemonade out of it. I look at Stacey Abrams down there in Georgia, how they stole that election from her, and look at the power that it gave to her. Instead of her just, turning in on herself and going somewhere and be depressed, and drink it away or smoke it away or whatever. Look what she did, you know, and now she's known, she was already known nationally, but in much more in a deeper context where she's changed history because of an injustice done to her. And injustices will be done to you, but it's how do you handle them? You know, that will make you stronger. We all have challenges in life. We all have a backstory. And it's important for us to just channel and be the best we can be, because you don't know what people are going through. That's why we hear about the Black on Black violence and the violence everywhere. It's heartbreaking because we don't know. We do something very small to the person and then they take out a gun and it's boom. We don't know what's going on within them internally. So it's important to be strong. And yes, Swing Fi Swing has definitely made me a stronger person. And I thought I was strong coming from such a family of 2 leaders and, 11 siblings, but being around the challenges of life and strong women, it's just amazing. And I love Swing Fi Swing. I love Zuri. And I thank them for bringing this topic to the table today and preserving the family, preserving the Black family is so important. So I know I opened a lot of windows there, Leah, but it's back over to you.
No, you did. And I was gonna pretty much ask the same question to Sister Founder Patricia. Did joining Swing Fi Swing make you stronger?
When we got together to formulate the founders, I was a senior, and what took place there, I brought back with me to Connecticut. We went over in 1969, and that was the year that I graduated from Winston-Salem State University. What made it stronger for me is that not only did my parents take me to Winston-Salem, drop me off, I'm coming from the North, I knew no one at the college. I had my father's cousin lived in the city. I basically stayed by myself on the campus, had a few friends. And then when I was approached by one of my founder sisters, it made me strong. It made me a part of a family that I would be proud of. All of the other AKAs and Zetas, I was not looking for something like that. I was looking for people who would accept me as I was, not what they wanted me to be. So it made me stronger. And that when I came back home, not knowing why I was doing it, I got into doing community work all the time. That's all I did was community work besides working. And once they found me, because I was lost, and then I got back with them, I said, oh, this is why I was doing all that, because it was bedded in my soul and in my spirit. So that I took from Winston-Salem that made me stronger, stayed with me the rest of my life until they found me again. Yes, it made me stronger. And I thank my parents for sending me there, because if they hadn't sent me there, I would probably not be a swing today.
Thank you, Sister Founder. And you said something that I'm sure has resonated with a lot of people. And it said, accept me as I am, not as what you wanted me to be. And I think in our society, that's huge, because there's so many things that are out there that are against people and they want them to conform to who they want them to be. And for you to have that instilled in you and grow stronger, knowing that you are who you are and this is who I am, and people are going to accept me for that, is huge. To piggyback off of that, how do you think we can help instill that same type of knowledge to our younger generation?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Okay.
Or if there's any other sister that wants to jump in and answer that question, go ahead.
I will give you the question that I was going to answer for something else. The knowledge, say that one more time, the question.
How can we pass that same type of mindset or knowledge to our younger generation?
Well, we have to, you can't get stuck on the naysayers because you know who you are. We know what we're made of. We are beautiful Black women with elegance and shades of different pigment. We are educated and we are intelligent women with a purpose. So we have to put that in the front first. Just know who you are, what you stand for. You are beautiful, no matter if you're big, small, little, dark skin, light skin, you are a human being. And once you put that in front of you, you should be able to be all right. Don't put it in the back. Don't give up what you know you are.
Thank you. Sister Eboni, I'm going to come to you. Has joining Swing by Swing made you stronger?
Let me tell you.
Come on with
Swing,
the sister.
Okay. Swing has done wonderful things for me. And I went to Livingstone College. It was very, very small college. My sister would tell you she went to Howard. It's a university, 2 different type of schools. Still HBCUs, but different. As big as my school was, you could walk the whole campus 10 minutes from one end to one end. And because my GPA was great, because I was in a whole lot of activities, because, I had a great following, everybody knew me, even though I kept to myself. As far as Divine 9 went on paper, I looked great. Oh, she's involved. She has the grades. She knows faculty. She's what we need. Like, she would make us look good. But it wasn't, what makes her unique to benefit us. It was, we can take her and make her what we want her to be, going off of what Sister Founder said. But it wasn't, oh, well, let's take the qualities that she already has to make us better, to strive. And when I came upon Swing, immediately the acceptance and the love and the knowing themselves, where they come from, what the organization was built off of, the foundation, it was the confidence and the strength and in the little of numbers that took my breath away. That 3 women, in one organization compared to 15 in another, can embody as much confidence and be as strong. And I just feel with the principles and the morals that I grew up with my mother and my grandmother, I felt at home. And again, I've never met a sister. I've never met a swing, and never is a strong word. I've never met a swing that I did not like. Never met a swing that I couldn't talk to. Never met a swing that I was just, we do not vibe. And I've been a swing this year going on 9 years. Going on 9 years. So when you know who you are and you know where you come from, whether it's you by yourself against an entire army, you will not fold. You won't fold, you won't give up, because you know who you are. And when you know, there's no way for you to be unsure. When you know and you're confident in yourself, where you come from and what you're built off of, there's no way for you to fold, and you're able to pass that along. You're able to let your cup flow over into others. And I already felt that there was a powerfulness in me, but to be a part of this organization that thrives off of the things that I thrive on in my personal life and me as a person, it just makes me so much stronger. I can't talk about swing without being passionate, without getting emotional, without, feeling that passion, because I know I probably wouldn't experience it anywhere else. Like this was made for me. And my chapter at Livingstone was founded on my birthday. So my birthday is April 15th, and the chapter that I went over with in undergrad, that's my birthday. So things just line up, and God has a plan. And if I could do it all again, do it over again, and I crossed by myself, I would do it again the exact same way, no regrets.
Wow, beautiful.
Wow, that was powerful. Thank you for sharing. Sister Roysha, same question. Did joining Swing by Swing make you even stronger?
Well, I have a mini story because I felt like swing found me because like my sister said, I did go to Howard University. We did not have an active chapter there. My sister was already a swing, and I was walking on campus, and Howard University has a groove tree. And there was a girl in front of the groove tree with a white and black jacket on. And I was like, those are my sister's colors. I've always supported my sister in joining swing because I believe in her judgment, and whatever she's passionate about, I know she's going to give it 100%. And something in me told me to walk up to this girl and just ask her, like, hey, my sister, I think my sister's in your organization. Her name is Eboni. And she was like, I know Eboni. Oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, well, let me call her. And I called my sister, and they knew each other. And I just thought, how can that be when I go to Howard University, where most of these organizations are founded, and my sister's organization doesn't even have a tree here. And one of her sisters is on the yard. And the sister who was there, she just opened her arms to me and was very warm and inviting, and just, you could feel just love. And I'm not even a part of this organization. And after that day, I was interested in swing, and my sister helped me, get into the right hands and the resources to try to, activate the chapter back. And a year later, I wound up getting the chapter back activated at Howard University with my line sister. But like I was saying, being on a campus where most of the organizations and the fraternity and sorority life is just so strong there. Oh, I see the chat. The organizations are so strong on Howard's campus. It's hard to do something different. I'm the type of person, like we've been already stating, that I've been taught to go against the grain. But you have just this strong presence and subculture telling you that what you're doing isn't normal, it's against the norm. And for me, that made me strong in knowing that, don't go with what everyone else is saying. Go with your heart, go with the feeling. And similar to what my sister was saying, swing is a feeling. It's like open arms. It's like a warm hug you get from your mom when you're going through something. These sisters relate to you. They want you to strive. They want you to succeed. And not because you're number 55 on a line and you just have to. It's because they feel that deep down. And it's so much love poured into the organization that these sisters also mold you, and they shape you as a person, and they make you stronger. And it just comes from such a genuine place that's why these sisters come back. That's why there's an attraction. It's kind of hypnotic a little bit. You just come to this organization and you just get filled with love. And then you overpour that love into the organization and into the sisters, and it makes you a stronger person in doing that. So swing, and I joined my senior year as well, just as, Sister Founder founded the organization, but I joined my senior year, and I wish I could have had that experience earlier on in my college career, because just it helped me so much in my, my college life and, beyond that. And it's definitely made me into a stronger sister, definitely gave me another sense of community and sisterhood and love. And I love my Swing Fi Swing.
Amen.
Thank you for sharing, Sister Roysha. And what I would like to say is, summing up what all of our panelists are saying is, our theme is preserving the Black family. And based off of the answers to the questions that were discussed here, a lot of things were brought up about, discussing trauma, knowing financial, knowing your, being financially literate. It's okay to be who you are and to pass on those gems, to pass on the pearls of knowledge that we may have experienced so that our next generation will be prepared to experience the same thing, but, know ways that they can persevere through it. This panel has been absolutely awesome. Awesome, awesome. And I want to thank each and every one of you for all of your responses. I'm looking at the chat and I can see a lot of people are commenting, powerful, positive messages. Amen. Yes. Everyone has been, in the chat and it is blowing up right now. I can't keep up. So, is there anything that any of our panelists want to add before we move on? Anything that anybody said that sparked something that you just want to, elaborate more on?
I wasn't sure if you were going to get to it, sister. Just something really, really quick. One of the questions that was posed to the panel is what do I believe our generation is doing now differently to preserve the Black family? And again, and I'm gonna share my age with y'all because this is a safe space. I'm about to be 29 in April. And just some of the things that I talk to my colleagues about, that I talk to my peers about, other grooves and swings that, are around the same age as me, we're looking into more wealth, generational wealth, ways that we're letting our money work for us, that we're not somewhere working for it, and really trying to pass down gems to our own families. So what that looks like is investing. As Sister Founder said, what that looks like is purchasing land, purchasing property. And I was just talking to my little sister about this. By the time we're 40, we all should have money saved to buy us some land, buy some acres of land, and build some communities on there. It may sound cliche, but 40 is still young. We can have some wealth. We can have some money to our name. We have to talk about it. Yes. If you don't talk about it, you don't brainstorm about it, you don't come together with a group of individuals who you trust, who you know, who have the same mindset as you, don't try to get Uncle Joe from around the way to come and try to invest if you know Uncle Joe ain't serious. Okay. You need people who you know who have this mindset and who want something to pass down to their children as well. And it's a conversation that I really feel our generation is doing, starting a business. I know this celebrity, her son just turned 2 and he has a business. He has his own book. As a birthday gift to her 2-year-old son, she gave him a business.
Wow.
And it's a book. She wrote a book for him.
Wow.
And it's sold out in a day.
Wow.
So something just as small as that, it doesn't even take a lot of time. It just really takes for you to sit down, get your thoughts together, where you want to be, and a life plan. My mama always said, people do not plan to fail, they fail to plan. Mm-hmm. You need a plan. And if you have a plan, you have a better way to execute it. And I just feel that's what I see in my generation, and I'm proud. And I feel we need to expand on that, especially in my generation, spreading that to the younger generation. Let that be a gem. As we're learning and as we're coming about ourselves and how we can build generational wealth. Once we learn that, once we get a system, pass that down to the generation underneath us.
Thank you, Sister Eboni. And we're going to actually have a Q&A a little bit later on so we can ask and answer some more questions. So next, we're going to move on to our theatrical dance by Sister Mitzi Hightower-Teel.
Was on the South Side.
South Side.
Yeah. He's an artist. He's a singer.
He's my friend.
And he's performing a special medley of The Day Women Took Over and Glory.
Please welcome Common.
Our last election, we just had a lot of women get elected. Imagine if we had more women in power. This is the day women took over. No longer over your shoulder, do you have to look over? Imagine, war's not over. Mothers get medals for being courageous soldiers. On dollars, it's Michelle, Obama, Oprah, and Rosa. Becoming is part of the culture. The day women took over, let it continue. Now women get paid as much as men do. Dr. Angelo looking from heaven's window, telling young girls phenomenal woman is in you. Body is a temple, men don't pray. While the earth songs around you saying it's okay. Toilet seats down, that's a no-brainer. Monuments in Washington, a Fannie Lou Hamer. Harriet, soul journals, truth is marching on. Women preachers and world leaders ain't out the norm. On the Stephen Colbert show, this is the story. The day the women took over, the God be the glory. One day, when the glory comes, it'll be ours. It'll be ours. Hey, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Hey, glory. Oh, hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against, yes, glory is destined. Every day women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all, just ain't specific enough. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots we on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up. Now the war isn't over, victory isn't won. People fight on to the finish, and when it's all done, we'll cry. Man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads, heroes, to become a hero. Facing the league of justice, his power was the people. Enemy is lethal, a king became regal. Saw the faces, your coat under a ball ego. The biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. We sing, our music is the cuts that we bleed through. Somewhere in a dream he had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win a war individually and take the wisdom of the elders. Young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord, my eyes are seeing the glory. One day, when the glory comes, it'll be ours. It's ours, America. It's ours, world. Hey, one day, when the war is won.
My name is Rashana Quadri Muxen. I would like to thank Mitzi Hightower-Teel, Stephen Colbert, Common, and Michelle Obama.
Wow, what an awesome, awesome, awesome performance done by Sister Mitzi. And I was looking at the chat, and again, so many responses. Awesome, beautiful, do it. Awesome. That's all we can say. Mitzi, you did a fantastic job. Thank you. Next, I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Clarence Glover. Give me 1 second. Dr. Glover is a public scholar, pastor, and civil rights activist committed to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s philosophy of nonviolent social change. As a pastor and professor, Dr. Glover's legacy in nonviolent civil rights activism spans more than 40 years. While chairman of the Dallas NAACP Police Community Relations Committee, Professor Glover was responsible for changing the Dallas Police Department's deadly force policy from property over life to life over property, thereby saving hundreds of lives. He also assisted in revising the Dallas Police Department's affirmative action policy and was among the first multicultural education trainers for the Dallas Police Department in the 1980s. In 1987, together with Ms. Rosa Parks and others, he testified before the congressional hearing convening by Congressman John Conyers on police abuse in the African American community. I welcome you, Dr. Clarence Glover.
Oh, excuse me. Unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Yes. To all of my sisters of Swing Fight Swing, first I would like to ask for the permission from the sister founders for permission to continue to speak.
Yes.
Thank you, my sisters. Hola, Jumbo, and all of the greetings of our native land. We give you thanks for this opportunity to be a part of this fellowship. I've heard so very much this morning. My cup is flowing over. To my cousin, Tamika Domino, the sole founder and the pioneer of Swing Fight Swing at Grambling State University. Thank her for extending this invitation and being with you today. And but before I move on, I want to, in the spirit of Swing Fight Swing, Groove Fight Groove, I was at Grambling State University when they came to the campus back in the 70s. And I'd like to suggest that a different approach, not just the Black family, but I see images of Africa, even in your symbolism and your language. And one of the things that I seek to promote as pastor of First African Freedom Church and other places is that as a people, we must not simply engage in an identification of color. We must also engage in an identification of culture so that we go beyond the symbolisms of Black and really begin to understand what it means to be African and what it means to be a Black African, because we know that the continent is a vast continent with shades of all colors now and citizens of all colors. So as we come into this conversation this morning, this is truly a conversation. I feel like at this point, I'm going to continue the conversation by only adding some points that we might discuss or have a question around. But I'd like for to introduce by letting us hear the vibrations of our motherland. Feel the origins and the beginnings of swing. Yes, swing, the move, the groove. Yes. In the beginning was the beat. The beat was the rhythm of God. And the rhythm of God became the harmony of humanity. And where there is harmony, there is peace. So the drum speaks. It speaks to our soul. It speaks to our mind. It speaks to our feet. It moves us. Yes. blesses us. So in that spirit, I ask that you would join me at wherever you are to clap to the beat. Clap, join me as we are African people. The beat, boom, boom. The rhythm, the beat. Feeling the beat, spirit of mind and body and soul. Moving through a melanized universe. A dark, deep place where life emerges. We are the drum. We are the beat. We are the groove. We are the swing.
Beautiful.
To return to the theme today of the African family. This month I have chosen to use as my theme, E Pluribus Unum, the African family and the American dream. E Pluribus Unum. And for those who may not know of this term, it's a Latin phrase, which is found on the symbol of the American seal that was established by the founding fathers of European descent of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin. It simply means out of many comes one. Out of many comes one, E Pluribus Unum. And in the founding of our country, we must understand that as we talk about America, we must speak about America just as they speak about the New England states. I often ask people when I hear about the term the New England Patriots, I'd ask my friends and those who are sports enthusiasts, of which I'm not, I don't spend time watching football, but I ask them, where is New England? I know where the Dallas Cowboys reside. I know where Atlanta Hawks, I know where the Seattle Hawks, I know where the Buffalo Bills, all and so forth, but where's New England? What state is New England in? I submit to you, those of you who are up on the East Coast now, who live in the New England states, the New England area of America, of Rhode Island and New York, Massachusetts, New England. But have we ever thought about New Africa? Where is the home of the African people who were brought here to America from the motherland? A land where we had families who were intact, families that were established, families with structures, the village, the communities of relationships. Submitting to you today that when we speak about the African family, we do speak about a system where we had support, the village, the council of elders, unlike America where we become, now I'm 65 and we basically put our elders away, or we began to put them away. In Africa, our elders had a primary seat in the village, so that when issues would rise, they would come into the council, because there you had the council of elders. Then you had the parents, the young men and women who were raising their children, the next level. So we go from elders, council, to the parents, to the children. And then you had the neighbors, the relatives, should I say, who helped to raise the children, and the neighbors who helped to raise the children, and the friends. And so therein lies a structure in which the African family was able to deal with so many of the things that any other society would deal with, as we've been talking about this morning, trauma. How do we get over some of the issues of life? Because we go back to the elders. We go and hear the stories. We listen to the drum beat. We hear the stories of the griots. We are able to deal with life because we dance together. We sing together. We're able to go back and relieve ourselves because we move and release this pain and this energy by moving and clapping our hands and shouting. And we become a healthy people. We become a whole people because our village embraces us. We often hear that when we came to America that we lost that. I hear so often over my years as a pastor that we have no culture. That is very, very, very untrue. Because you see, you cannot destroy culture. Culture is like electricity. You can only transfer it or transform it. We transferred and transformed our culture. Yes, we did. And in spite of that, we were able to live. One of the things I've done, I have a picture today. This is my family in Ghana, West Africa, the global family. Yes, the global family. You see, because what we have not been told, that particularly after the Civil War, so many African families repatriated, went back to Africa, particularly to Liberia. This is one of the goals of President Lincoln. He wanted to send everybody back, but they did establish Liberia. Yes. And there are many African families, the Tolberts, the Joneses, the Taylors, the Glovers, and others went back to Liberia. Well, I knew that story in my family, and some of you may have that same story, but have never explored it. Like in the book, in Roots, here again is where our elders come in. Have you sat down with the elders? Have you heard the stories? Do you know where your land is? Do you know who your great-great-grandparents are? Tamika and I, we come from a similar legacy of family. And so I pull things here, I bring things out because this is what today is about. Grandma Elizabeth Thomas in our family, out of slavery. Do we know this is her daughter and her husband? Do you have the pictures in your home? Have you told the stories where the land is? Do you know what they do, what they did back then? Do you know the story of cotton in the South? Because that's where New Africa is. Yes, I submit to you. Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, where many of the African men and women who were brought here in shackled, in chains from Ghana, West Africa, to pick the cotton. But before they came here, they were master cotton spinners and weavers. You see, you must understand, my ladies, my sisters, is that Sankofa does mean that you go back and fetch the past. You go back and fetch the egg, that as you move forward, you go back and fetch what you left behind. What do we leave behind? That is what we must go and fetch. So in our short time today, I teach this all the time. The cotton is my metaphor. Go back and fetch it. Why? Because it is the gold. It is the magic. Just as we would hear the stories in Ghana of Anansi the spider. The spider? Yes. Just like in Greek mythology, we had a mythology too. The Anansi the spider. And as the elders would tell the stories to the children, he would sit there and the elder would sit there, and they were men and women, and so they would tell about how Anansi would give to his people a secret. And what was the secret? The secret was how to spin their cotton into thread, like Anansi would spin his web. Yes, and the children would watch with anticipation as the elders spin this cotton. And as the elder talks, the children's eyes would get larger and larger as he told the story that the power of the people. Yes, in Bonwe, the Ashanti people. And it goes even deeper. The people who migrated from Central Africa, from Egypt, who came over from Jerusalem. Yes, the people who knew of this principle, Jin Yami, Yah, the God of Abraham, Yah, hallelujah, Yah, kumbaya, come by here, my Lord, come by here. We tell the stories and we sing them, and they come with us to America. And those stories then become a part of the thread of our people. Yes, the thread of our people now strong, resilient. Each fiber has now become one thread and is able to withstand trauma and tragedy. And so it is our answer. And I never like to throw it away. If I had it, I would give it to one of you today, Sister Founders. But what I do, I put it on a pencil or a stick or whatever I have at the time, and I make a spool of thread. Now, what does this all mean? This means that we brought to America the knowledge of cotton. And after we had built the nation on the East Coast with Thomas Jefferson and others with tobacco, sugar cane, cotton was then made king because when Eli Whitney patented the cotton gin, not invented, then they brought more of us here. Yes, they brought more of us here through shackles, the chains. And a part of our healing, I submit to you today, is our ability to hear, to see and feel, to touch our history, to know our history. And as I move and let people hear and touch these shackles, the shackles of the slavery ship here, where the legs are put in between here and they would lie as sardines under the ship, or the shackles that they would walk with as they were put on auction blocks to be sold. We come in contact with our emotions. We feel the pain. We see the past. And yet, in the midst of all of this, they would sing. They would release themselves. And through their songs and through their music, they were able to create a new ethos of liberation that gave birth to a new generation of our grandparents and great-grandparents. Yes, these men and women who will become our legacy. But we must come to know who they are. You see, they gave to us their labor as they separated the cotton and began to sell the cotton. But yet out of them came our families. You see, a bale of cotton is 500 pounds, ladies, 500 pounds. Here I'm standing next to a bale of cotton, 500 pounds. We picked it, the families. I'm talking about the families the women and men who would wear these cotton sacks, as Tamika and I families did in Northwest Louisiana. This long sack, this sack that they would place over their shoulder and pick this cotton. These families I'm speaking of now. Women who would bear their children and place them on their bags and drag them through the cotton fields. I'm talking about our families. I'm talking about the families of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, the families who went north later on to Chicago, Detroit, who went to New Jersey, who then went to west. I'm talking about the African families who came out of New Africa. When we know these families, we know their stories. We know the presence of Africa even there. Because we see the symbols they left behind us. The women would quilt their quilts and the men would draw the symbol of the Adinkra. The Adinkra, inside of windows, doors, which means reaching back to the past and the future are equal. These are our stories. These then become our realities. For me, they have been shaped by my movements in the community of activism. I submit to you today that there's a difference between service and activism. I submit to you that Swing Fi Swing is not a service organization. You are an activist organization. Born at the height of the activist movement in America of 1968, 1969, to the death of Dr. Martin Luther King. At the height of the civil rights movement, before many of you were born, Swing Fi Swing was born out of the crucible of Black power. Swing Fi Swing was born when Mrs. Rosie Park sat down for us to stand up. Well, out of that, for me, was my journey with Mrs. Rosie Parks. Yes. Who I testified, worked with, who she taught. She was my council of elders. Do you have your council of elders? What do you learn from them? This is how the Black family, the Black community, the Black village continues to grow. Mrs. Coretta Scott King, a part of my council of elders. In 1986, when we did the documentary on Dr. Martin Luther King, and I was a consultant and interviewer, and Mrs. King shared with me so many personal stories about her life with Dr. King, her family, her picking cotton, a journey with Dr. King to become the first lady of civil rights, the Council of Elders. This is the beginning and strength of the African family in America. We must reestablish that council because young men and women today are looking, seeking answers. We hear it every day. What do we say to the young people? How do we help the young people? We help them by having a council of elders, men and women whose hair has now turned gray. Who can reflect back on the time that I am a Jim Crow survivor. Yes, I am a Jim Crow survivor, 65 years old. I remember separate water fountains. I remember going to the back of the bus. I remember not being able to ride the bus. I remember the days of not being able to go into places to eat because of the color of my skin. I remember not being able to go to restaurants. I remember my father saying, yes or no, sir. I remember Reverend Harry Blake getting beat by George Dartois and Shreveport being pulled down on the steps of Little Union Baptist Church. I remember when the 4-year-old girls were bombed in Birmingham. I remember those days. As the Council of Elders, to you, my sister founders, we must tell these stories to our younger generation. They must come to know it through Swing by Swing. Not only these in America, but also back in Africa, as I've tried to suggest to you, of a time when we were greater than ever we were here in America. And we have become great in America because we have been great before. And we can be great again. This is the African family. It is not the woman and the man against each other. No, it is the woman and the man together. And I submit to you, as I even heard today, I heard about, yes, the day when women ruled. I heard you say that. But in Africa, when I was there and watched the Ashanti King and Queens, do you know that the Ashanti Hene, the king, is elected by 2 different groups of individuals? First, the men teach the boys how to be warriors, how to protect, how to gather food, how to build houses and cut trees. Must be very strong physically. But he's not selected king only because of the selection by the men. The women, who are the queen mothers, must make the final decision. For he must not only be hard, but he must have the compassion of a woman, the wisdom of a woman, and the ability to work with families. So as I close this morning with you today, I submit to you that we must think about, as you have groove and swing. In America, it is the African man and the African woman together who will strengthen the African family again. It is not an either-or principle like in European culture. It is the principle of both and as an African culture. It is the rhythm of the family. It is the ability of Ubuntu, Harambe, to not be the crab mentality as we think, but rather the pushing up mentality as is reflected in our art of ebony that shows us that we push each other up. We must create a new paradigm of thought and thinking for the African family. I know that the African woman has suffered much, as well as the African man, but we must come together and communicate our common struggles together to create our common future. And so as we come today, I submit to you that e pluribus unum, out of one comes the many, the African family in America, and the American dream. And I close with you the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. When you said America is essentially a dream. It is a dream of a land where men and women of all colors and all creeds can live together as brothers. But the essence of this dream is summed up in these words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their creation with certain inalienable rights. And among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But ever since the founding fathers dreamed the dream, America has suffered from what psychologists and psychiatrists call a schizophrenic personality, tragically divided against itself, that while on one hand, it proclaims life, liberty, and justice, it on the other hand practices the very opposite of its proclamation. In other words, America has engaged in an act of illicit intercourse with injustice. My. In the midst of all that we experience today, over the years in America, I believe to you today that the African family, the African man and the African woman are now, as Dr. King said, we must seek to come together to redeem the soul of America and to heal our planet and to heal our land. It's my prayer that out of swing today, we might have a conversation just as you joined, as you created years ago, my sister founders, had a dream. I have a dream. I have a dream that out of this conversation can come new seeds. They can impregnate new men, new women, and new societies and new cultures with a new understanding of who we are, and create a new family and a new tomorrow and a new people. Thank you.
Wow. I'm full of emotion. And looking at the chat, so many other people are too. A lot of people are clapping. Thank you. What I can say to you is what you just spoke to us was powerful, dynamic. It has, the wheels in my head turning, so I'm sure everybody else's. There are two things that resonated with me, and it was Council of Elders, which a lot of people also chatted about, and the rhythm of the family. And I think that's where we will get back to getting our families back on track and preserving the Black family moving forward. So I thank you. We all thank you. And we really are encouraged by your words.
Are there questions?
I'm looking in the chat, but I do have a question for you. Give me 1 second. One question is, do you remember something from your youth that you were doing progressively to maintain and preserve the Black family?
From my youth, I was born, matter of fact, I have my birth certificate here, just so happened. And my birth certificate states that I was born in Shreveport, but my mother lived in Dixie. We lived on a cotton farm. And from the time that I could remember, have memory of my life, I was in the middle of a cotton field with my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, my grandmother and grandfather, and my mother and father were teachers. And I lived with them in the cotton field. We were owners of our own plantation, had our own workers. That's another story that we don't talk about, the after reality of African men and women who owned land in America, many who did. That was, and this has been my life. My second home is still back there in that cotton, in that area. And I say that because as I heard you speak about your generation seeking to want to know about land and buying land and investing in land and generational wealth, etc., that there must be those of us who have the stories of our land, as I heard the stories of the land from my elders. And so by doing, we're able then to truly engage in Sankofa. We truly enable engage in reaching back and fetching what we left behind, because if we don't have something to go back to or someone to talk to us, then there's nothing to fetch. This is the problem of today. There's such a gap between the generations, which is not an African thing. In the African tradition, there's no gap. We must create the bridge. We must create the relationship. We must talk to each other. We must not be a generation of hip hop alone that does not speak to grandmother, grandfather. We must understand that hip hop's mom and dad was named doo-wop and bebop. That there's a root for the music. It is a genre. You see, that the next generation may create a new genre of music, but it's all connected. And we communicate with each other. So that is my memory. So my memories go back to my elders, sitting at their feet on the mourners bench at church. How many times do we now see parents, young African parents, bringing their children to church, putting them on the mourners bench, shouting, saying, praying for them, knowing that at the age of 12, we were taught that the sins were on you because now you have become responsible for your own sins. I was taught that. Oh, by the time I got to be 12, I had to know God for myself. We don't hear that anymore. Think about what kind of society you create when a child doesn't realize that he or she is responsible for their own spiritual self now. So we must go back and reclaim those elements. And we who are elders, and I'm an activist elder. I've been an activist teenager. I've been an activist in college, at Grambling, at SMU, at Harvard. Now I'm an activist elder. I would not sit down. I would not move back. We must stand up to our young men and women and speak boldly to them so they would know who they are.
Amen to that. I have 2 questions for you that are in the chat. One question is from Stellene Howard. Would Mr. Glover suggest the ancestry sites or DNA sites that are out where you can learn about your elders?
Well, she says there's sites. There's so many sites out there. You know, of course, Alex Haley started his journey, but you first begin not with the sites, you begin with the stories. Go back. If you don't know who your great-great-grandparents were, all of you need to find that, because in theory, your organization is wonderful, but what about in content? Do all of you know where your plantation is? Most of us who are Africans in America, not the immigrants who came later, but the Africans who are here, who came through slavery, do you know where they are? You see, the sites can help you get your bloodline and what mixture you are, you know, what DNA goes back to Africa, yes. If you're Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, you know, are you from West Africa, etc.? Yes. But there are deeper stories in your family's history. Go back to Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. Go back finding the land that's sitting there waiting for you to buy the land. There was once a lady from Puerto Rico who spoke here for our Black Awakening Conference. And she said something to us very profoundly. She said, many of you are looking to Africa and you want to go back to Africa, Africa, Africa. And she said, go look in your grandmother's backyard. Look in your grandmother's backyard. Look at her pot in the kitchen. Look at your grandfather as he works in the blacksmith shop. That's where you'll find Africa. And then I saw a message that what we can do then is create the context of a rites of passage. And if Swing Fi Swing does not have a rites of passage, it should have one. So that you are ritualizing the story. You're taking the young men and women and you're saying, if it's the young women alone, if it's a young man, if Groove has the men and you all have the women, fine. But somehow you must ritualize this information and then pass it on and then celebrate it once they have what? Arrived. Just as you do in your pledging.
Thank you. I'm gonna actually ask Sister Founder Marilyn and Sister Founder Patricia. Dr. Glover did bring up rites of passage. Is there something you want to speak on about that?
Marilyn.
Now, we do have a rites of passage, but I think you know, it's not something for public, you know, right, discussion. But I'm so thankful for Dr. Glover and all the insight that he gave us today. So many jewels. I had a question for him about the Council of Elders. Can they come to you in your dreams?
Oh, certainly. Because we do not die. African people don't believe in death. I don't teach that in my ministry because our ancestors taught us. They said we don't die, we pass away. We are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. I believe that. When we say that my grandmother's over there waiting for me, I believe that. I not just believe that, I know that. I know that spirit cannot die because when my breath becomes the wind, then my spirit is free. This is a physical temple. This is a physical flesh. And to many people, it sounds kind of ooh, scary. But that's what we brought to this country. We brought that deep mysticism and spirituality. We must reclaim it now and embrace it. In what you just stated, I heard what you said. Yes, you have a rites of passage within your organization, which is the secret order of your organization. All groups do. But what I'm speaking about is the public rites of passage of the man and young boy and girl into manhood, into woman. No boy, no girl should ever, that's our problem in our community. Our girls have not been brought into womanhood. Our boys have not been brought into manhood. That is a public ceremony. Now, the rites may be private, as you take the boys or the girls off into the woods or into places and you all speak, because only you can speak to a woman. I cannot speak to a girl. I do not know what it means to become a woman. But I can speak to the many young men, young boys who are 9, 10, and 11, who they know Professor Freedom as, me at KKA, Professor Freedom, because I take the chains off your brains so your minds can work. I take the chains off your brains so your mind can work. I take the chains off your brains so your mind can work. So I work with the boys in my gentleman's class because I take all boys to become gentlemen. I'm preparing my young men to become gentlemen. Are there any ladies ready for them? So you see, if I am preparing boys to become gentlemen, because I teach them how to be a man, a weapon, to hunt, to gather. Texas, we're in the cold now. Who goes get the grocery? The man. We're in the cold. Who goes and get the wood and the water? The man. Who makes the quilts that keeps us warm at night? The woman. But have you taught her how to make any quilts? Have you looked up grandma? Have you found grandmama's quilts? Have you seen the symbols? Have you kept the pieces of clothes that you would put? Where's your bag of rags? Ooh. Oh, where are your bags? Oh yeah, she knows what I'm speaking. But those of us who are old enough, the women's bag full of what? Rags, torn shirts. The rag lady, have you met her? Have you seen her lately? Have you picked your pieces and kept them to put them together for symbolism and beauty? While I'm out chopping a tree. You see, when a woman gets pregnant and enters 5 months of pregnancy, in Africa, we say that a man, a boy, a man must cut trees. Because while she is giving birth to creation within her womb, he is creating a home from the trees that he cuts. Yeah. We must do these things, and your generation, my generation, we know. I see you now. You know what I'm saying. You feel it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't have to even say anymore. But we have not done the work.
That's right.
We've not done the work. And before we leave, my mother, who's my elder in the nursing home, many of us whose parents are 80 and 90 years old, but you and I, we are the active elders now. We're not doing the work. And that's why I say I call upon Swing for Swing and others today to impregnate us with this knowledge, with this information, to expand what I've said, what you all have said, so that we can now speak to this generation. While they were out protesting in Dallas, I went out to the protest and stood with them. And people saw me stand on the side with my mask. I wasn't marching, of course. I'm 65, I didn't want to get bummed. And people saw me and said, who is that? I got the D magazine. Who is that man? Who's that elder over there? All I got to do is what? Lift my hand as they march forward in prayer. And then when they asked me questions, to give them wisdom, as Mrs. Rosa Parks gave to me, as Mrs. King gave to me, as Dr. C.T. Vivian, as John Lewis, Congressman Lewis gave to me. The two mentors on the day they died, both the same day, my mentor, Congressman John Lewis and Dr. C.T. Vivian. And then I called Dr. Bernard Lafayette, Congressman John Lewis's roommate, my council of elders.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Glover. Is there anyone else on our panel who has anything they would like to share?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Professor Freedom, you spoke on the treatment of the African man and African woman. And just as a younger person, I just feel that there is a disconnect between our generation's African man and woman. Do you have any insight on how we can kind of bridge that gap to be active in trying to preserve African families today? I don't want to put it on the elders not being active in teaching us. I want to be proactive and try to, bend and do what I can to preserve this generation's African family. Do you have any insight on that?
Certainly. Your generation, with counsel from us, what I've got to say to you, you must not let others control your music. You are enslaved today because of your music. Music is very powerful. We are the rhythm. We are the people of the music, the songs, the banjo, the kora, the tunes. The word music, the banjo is an African instrument. You know that. It comes from Africa. It is the child of the kora of the calabash, just like this. It is a drum string instrument. The rhythms of the instrument opens up the consciousness of the mind. The word music comes from the word muse, which means to make think. You can Google all this. I tell students, I love it. Google it. Music to make you think. Before integration, we controlled our music. The same music that mama listened to, I listened to. The same music that daddy listened to, I listened to. We danced to the same music. We danced, we moved to the same groove. You see? Yeah. Mamas and daddies and babies and children. My grandmother taught us how to dance. She danced with us at the house in Memphis, Tennessee. At our family reunions, we moved to the same music. But when they found out that something happened there, they took the beat. And we separated also in New York when the rap and all this, when many professional African Americans left the African American community. I didn't believe in integration. I believe in desegregation. We shouldn't have to leave our people, our elders, but we left. And in leaving that void, young men and women found a beat. That's why you got the beat up, the record, the whole thing. And they created a new genre. And in that, they began to use the rap to talk about the pain of the ghetto and the inner city and the hood and so forth. And then crack dropped in, and and then the division between East Coast, West Coast. And you understand what I'm talking about. And the music began to take over, but we didn't own the industry. And we still don't. And the more derogatory the music became, the more popular the entertainers became. The more we talked about, young men talked about the girls, objectified the women, the more the music became popular. So I submit to you today that your generation, must look deep into its music because it drives your code. It drives all of us. But you all now are in a position now to be able to talk deeper about the power of the music and the messages that it conveys, that then becomes your realities. Here in Dallas, the young rappers who got shot on Interstate 35, killing each other over music. You see, the gold that is worn, the magazines, everything, but they're not being sold. The clothes that have been sold, but we don't make any other clothes. There's an industry behind it that benefits from all of that. You all must have these deep conversations and began to say, we will not buy into this. Don't give up your music. You see, give up your lyrics, the hateful lyrics. Keep the beats, the rhythms. Just as our ancestors came over on the ships, when John Newton heard him, ooh, ooh, ooh. That's an African chant. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. That's our melody. You see, we are a people of melanized melodies. I submit today that the great enslavement is on the minds of our young people through the music. Because in your music, you begin to create new songs of love, of relationship. That's what music should do. It should be songs about your history, about your family, songs that help you meditate, songs that heal. And these are the words that must be put, music. But when I give it to my young brothers, because I go to the street, I understand, I listen to it now. Many older folks my generation won't, I know what the words are. I can tell you what your generation is singing about. And what really blew me away was that for a period of time, we saw the boys, male singers, rappers, gangster rappers, going to prison, coming back sagging, sort of. And then I saw the girls just became just as vicious and vile with their language in the music as the two react. And that's what we must get back to. We are reacting tit for tat as African men and women in society rather than coming together.
Beautiful.
We need to come together.
Yes.
And not just because he makes a rap about a woman be objectifying, then she makes a rap about him. It's all ugly.
Yes.
It's all ugly. And I'm as an elder, I will say that it's ugly. And until we as elders say to you, that's ugly music. That's ugly music. That's not our roots.
We gotta do better. Yes.
Yes. You must do better. There's nothing wrong. Keep the beat. Keep the rhythm. Keep the vibe. Keep the swing. But don't call her a hoe or a bitch. No. Yeah, I said it. Don't call her that. Matter of fact, go with me to the country and I'll show you what a real hoe is. Brother, can you break some land and grow some food in front of my house? I grow collard greens. I have 7 chickens in the backyard, hens, 70 eggs a day, 7 days a week. Come on, brother, I'll give you the hoe. Teach you how to grow some food. Are you feeding your babies? You can make them, but can you raise them?
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Roysha, for asking that question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our panelists. I'm now going to turn it over to Sister Tanya.
Oh, if there are any future comments, you have my email. I'd like to give that to you because I would love to hear from you. And my email is Clarence Glover Jr., C-L-A-R-E-N-C-E, Clarence Glover Jr., J-R, no periods, at AOL.com. Again, that's Clarence Glover Jr. at AOL.com. And you can certainly email Clarence Glover Jr. at AOL.com. My website is www.sankofaeducationservices.org. My cousin Tamika Damon, thank you. Mickey and all there, thank you so much. This is a movement for me. I'm an activist, not a service. This is activism. Peace and power to the people.
Amen.
Sankofa Education, www.sankofaeducationservices, www.sankofa, S-A-N-K-O-F-A, Sankofa Education Services. And speaking of magazines, I do have a book called The Night Before Freedom. It's a children's coloring book that helps us to teach about our history. It's a $10 coloring book, but I can tell you more about it. Matter of fact, let me just, if I may, so you understand the context. Like, we all have a story, but we've not put our story into a way. It was a night before freedom when all through the land not an African woman was sleeping, not even an African man. The children were snug and warm in their beds while visions of freedom rushed through their heads. Older men are best dressed, and me in my suit had just sat down for a bowl of hot gumbo soup. Then out on the street there rose us a chatter. I sprang from the table to see what was the matter, and what to my weary eyes would appear but a man named Frederick Douglass with a long white beard. And at the back, how many African countries can you name? So this is an attempt to teach our children at an early age our story. You can write more, for more information, you can write me about it, and we'll talk later. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Glover. And now we'll turn it over to Tanya Burton, Sister Tanya Burton.
Wow. Amazing, 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 amazing. That's all I can say. I am full, and the overflow is going to flow and flow and flow. And you can help this flow as well. We have this on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, so we will be resharing this link. So for those who might have missed it or missed the first part, or if you just want to go back and get some of these jewels that was dropped on us today, you know, because there was a lot. I didn't get a chance to write down everything, but what I get, you know, about being part of Swing by Swing is all about sisterhood. It is a passion. It is what is jewels that will be passed on to the next is generational. I heard this through everyone. Everything is generational. It is up to us to ensure that the future is bright by going back. I mean, did you see how you did that cotton? I don't know if y'all really pay attention to that cotton there. It was a small piece. It was just a small piece, and it grew. It grew and it grew. And so that's how we need to be as sisters of Swing by Swing, as African Americans, as Black, our culture. We need to grow. We need to keep pulling on that legacy line and making sure that it goes in so that the next person that comes up can take a hold of that end of that cotton. I'm not going to preach. I'm not going to go in because I am done. I'm done. We can talk about this. We could go on and on and on. But I love it. Thank you for sharing that. I saw that. I saw the symbolism there with that cotton, and it tugged at my heart. And I'm like, I'm ready. As you as my elder, I'm ready to take hold of that little end and continue to pull it. I'm ready to pull it. I'm pulling it. I'm pulling it. And so thank you for that. I want to thank my awesome committee members, Mitzi, Tamika, Roshana, Rachel, Dorothy. Thank you, ladies, for putting up with my madness at the end of saying, okay, am I forgetting anything? Thank you, Wayne, for stepping in and helping with the technology aspect of it. Thank you, all the panelists. And most importantly, thank you, all the attendants today, for showing up and listening to her story and listening to the panel discussion and listening to how we need to make sure we're like that bird, go back, pick up that egg, but still move forward. Don't get stuck in the past. You got to take that egg and move forward and take the end of that string. Thank you once again for joining. I believe we have a video. Do we still have that video?
I'd like to be able to say to you, I look forward to speaking in other places through the technology, and I hope that you will start a movement so that I can share this information throughout the nation for our people.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is not going to be the last of this type of conversation that Zori is planning on having. We will have other topics that we would like to discuss in the future, and you avail yourself. We would love to have you come back, as well as anyone else that's on the panel. Eboni, Roysha, I look forward to seeing your name up on a big building where y'all will have your own law firm. I am speaking this into existence for you. Amen. All right, so we're gonna go ahead. Thank you everyone for joining. We're gonna show this video, and I pray that you will be able to share our YouTube link. We will send that out to everybody so that you can share it, and it will be on our YouTube page. Peace and blessings.